to this session. We are in the fourth episode of Risks in Cross-Border Trade. In this video, we talk about operational and logistical risk in cross-border trade. Operational and logistical risks. These arise from intricate interplay of global supply chains because the regulatory frameworks are diverse and there are inherent uncertainties in international logistics. The risks manifest as delays, cost, additional costs, or overruns, damages to the goods, disruptions to the movement of the goods, and this will threaten the business continuity. This will erode the profitability, and this will take away the customer trust. These risks are not as pronounced in domestic trade as it is in a cross-border trade. The reason being multiple jurisdictions, longer transit times, and exposure to geopolitical, environmental, and human vulnerabilities. The complexities amplify the risk. For instance, a single shipment may involve coordination among suppliers, freight forwarders, customs authorities, carriers in different time zones, in different legal systems, in different countries with different cultural backgrounds. At any point, if there is a breakdown, as you know, the weakest link will always fail. Then the natural disaster will halt your supply chain from performing the way it is expected to perform. Though this could have got triggered by a small clerical error. And this will delay, for example, your customs clearance, it will cause additional duties or it will cause additional damages and things like that. Look at the pirate attack that happens on certain maritime routes. Look at the way it cascades in the cost of the various entities in the supply chain. What are the different supply chain disruptions that might happen? Now, supply chain disruptions are unexpected events that interrupt the seamless flow of the goods or services or information from supplier to end customer. The disruption originates from external shocks like a natural disaster or a geopolitical conflict or internal inefficiencies like supplier insolvency or a poor planning, and they often lead to production halt, inventory shortage, or delivery failure. When we look at natural disaster, earthquake or tsunamis or wildfires are on one side. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan disrupted the global automotive and electronic supply chain and caused a 20% production shortfall. Then comes a pandemic like COVID-19. The vulnerabilities in just-in-time supply chain was exposed due to this COVID. The factory closure in China and Vietnam caused a widespread shortage of the consumer goods. Then look at the labor strikes and social unrest, like port closures, etc. The International Longshore Warehouse Union in 2022, because of negotiations with the port operators were not working well, the disruption delayed billions of trade. Then look at the supplier failure. Financial distress could be one reason, operational breakdown could be another. The Evergrande, the Chinese property giant, threatened construction related supply chains. Their collapse threatened the construction related supply chains. Who are all well affected? The industry like steel, the sector like cement, and the machinery suppliers were affected. Then comes the geopolitical tension. Take the Russia-Ukraine conflict, for example, or the China not allowing rare earth metals to go to other parts of the world. Then finally, the technological failure. Cyber attacks in 2021, ransomware attack on the pipeline in US, or the software glitches in the logistical firms. All this had an impact on the operational and logistical risks. What's the trend? The increasing frequency and severity of the disasters or the cyber attacks or data losses are becoming a bigger pain for every entity. It requires reconfiguration of the supply chain, and this throws out the risk of over reliance on a single source. As you have seen, pandemics, natural disasters, labor strikes, supplier failures, etc., do cause or have an impact on this. If you look at the loss rate, 10 times the shipping rate increased during COVID. 8 million vehicle productions, 8 million was the loss, and $9.6 billion was the daily impact of the value of delayed trade due to Suez Canal blockage that happened because of the ever given ship. The COVID pandemic caused a logistical bottleneck because over 600 container ships were anchored globally. It caused a cost escalation because a 40-foot container from Shanghai to Rotterdam was costing $14,000 when it used to be $1,400. Then the cascading effect is that the automotive sector lost around 200 billion in revenues due to semiconductor shortage. If you look at the global trade slowdown, we can take the example where um, the steepest decline happened due to COVID, almost a 3% drop. How did the business respond? Some companies started stockpiling. Procter and Gamble increased their safety stock levels by 20%. Then came the regionalization, that is relocating production to other countries, for example, Southeast Asia to Mexico. Then digital transformation, that is adoption of cloud-based supply chain platforms, and Fortune 500 companies are now investing in AI-driven forecasts. Let us look at the Suez Canal blockage in 2021. The 400-meter long Ever Given, the container ship, ran aground. It was very difficult for other tugs to bring it back to life. The impact was 12% of the global trade, worth about 9 billion a day, transits over Suez Canal, and this was caught in the jam that was created there. How many ships? 400 plus ships were stranded because of this one ship. How much? Almost 60 billion worth of goods. Now, European retailers face the shortages of apparel, electronics, and whatnot, while manufacturers like BMW and Volvo paused their production because the components did not come. And even if they finish the goods, they cannot send it out because ships are not moving. The cost implication is if you have to reroute the ship around Cape of Good Hope, it will add 7 days of travel more, which is around 300,000 in dollar terms of fuel cost per vessel. But still, the businesses did go for route diversification. Maersk explored Arctic routes. Some customers went for rail alternatives, and China went for Europe-China freight trains. Then comes the transparency in the investment. This crisis spurred the adoption of a real-time visibility tools, with platforms like Project 44 reporting a 40% increase in the usage post the incident. The Red Sea crisis is the attacks by Houthi rebels. In the Red Sea, when Houthi rebels are attacking the ships, it will disrupt the multiple shipping lines. The Bab el Mandeb Strait is known for 50% of global trade passing through the strait. And when something happens at the Bab el Mandeb Strait, the prices of goods for 15% of the global trade can go up because of the additional risk that needs to be factored in. Rerouting means what? 80% of these container ships will have to be diverted around Africa. That means 10 to 15 days of additional travel time. That means 1 to 2 million per round trip, the cost will go up. What will happen to energy market? The oil and LNG prices will go up because oil and energy cannot be transported in this route, and it will cost 10% more due to delayed shipment. Then inflationary pressure. When oil and gas prices goes up, it will cascade in other goods. So inflation went up by around 2% plus for consumer goods in 2024. The businesses did try to respond by air freight, but the air freight also surged by around 25% for the Asia-Europe route. Some retailers did try for inventory buffer. For example, H&M stockpiled inventory for 15 additional days to take care of the delays. What are the various mitigation possibilities available now? Diversification of suppliers, engage in multiple suppliers. This will mitigate the risk of regional disruption. For example, Taiwan drought affected and the chip production. Higher coordination is required when you have more suppliers. Then is a digital supply chain tools like AI or machine learning or blockchain. They may help in visibility or predictability. IBM is using that. Then comes the IBM. IBM has a solution using AI to provide insights into the supply chain. They could predict a disruption with almost 70 to 80% accuracy. Then Unilever. Unilever has a digital control tower which monitors almost 160,000 units real time. And there is a platform called Trade Lens which can verify 1 million trade documents annually. So these are the technology that is helping in overcoming these problems that are faced in the logistics area. Buffer stock, safety stock is what the retailers are looking for. Sometimes people are looking for trade-offs, that is increase the working capital requirement and ensure continuity during disruption. And then comes the optimization, that is sensing algorithms are used. These algorithms mostly used by Amazon Dynamic Inventory. Then comes the scenario planning and stress testing. Conduct simulations for the black swan events like port closure, etc. So identifying the vulnerability is what needs to be done to overcome these problems. Now, delays and documentation errors is another problem that we have in the operational and logistics area. Complex and fragmented regulations. Each country enforces unique import-export rules and tariffs. The chemical regulations differ starkly from China compared to Great Britain. So what happens? It will create a additional documentation or compliance requirement and expertise. Another example is in 2023, India revised the import licensing for electronics. This delayed 2 billion worth of shipments due to compliance confusion. Then incorrect or incomplete documents. Common errors are misclassified HS code or undervalued invoices or missing certificates of origin or incorrect codes for textiles causing higher tariffs. Global Customs Organization estimates 15% of global shipments are facing documentation errors. 15% of global shipments are facing documentation errors. So how much is that we are? It is costing $100 billion annually because of the delay or fine that is result of this error. 100 billion annually. Also, these errors will cause delays in the inspection because random or targeted inspection for contraband will be there, and if the documents are incorrect, it will cause further problems. Australia's biosecurity agency checked agricultural goods 7 days for high risk shipment. It takes 7 days to get the goods released. Perishable goods will get spoiled if it is a 7-day delay in the port. Then comes the issue of corruption and bureaucracy. Informal payments sometimes expedite clearance, but then legal and illegal things go into that. So Transparency International says that there are ports in sub-Saharan Africa or South Asia which are known for high risk for potential bribery. Normally, there are ports in African continent which could take up to 20 days for clearance due to bureaucratic inefficiencies. So these bureaucratic inefficiencies could give rise to scope for corruption. If you take a Jebel Ali port in UAE, it takes up to 2 days only to get a document to get the goods released. What are the financial or operational aspects of this? One is a direct cost like demurrage or detention fee. Delayed container charges are up to $500 per day. Then there are fines and penalties. Incorrect declaration can lead to fines. This could be at least $10,000 per shipment. Then comes the indirect cost. Loss of sale is a direct cost. Retailers miss the season if there is a delay, for example, 15 days or 20 days. Then comes the spoilage. Latin America fruit exports to Europe were downgraded or discarded due to clearance delay because the quality of fruits goes down. Then comes a customer dissatisfaction. Late delivery erodes trust. B2B buyers will look for alternatives. Then comes the operational strain. Firms will divert the resources to resolve the disputes. So this will cause a strain on the working capital. The one of the examples that we can look at this is the Brazil, where the customs delay of 8 to 10 days for non-AEO firms were costing around $500 million annually as a loss in productivity, because Singapore is allowing a 24-hour clearance and Brazil is taking up to 10 days for a similar activity at a port. What are the mitigation strategies that are available? One is automation of the document system, like tools can be used, a Descartes or a SAP tool. Then is the blockchain. Maersk and IBM TradeLens were using blockchain. Around 40% is saved in time. Then comes the cost benefit. Automation saves about $50 per shipment. Then pre-clearance programs like trusted trader schemes or authorized economic operator schemes or CTPAT schemes. Then adoption of the latest technology and latest regulation compliance. Local customs brokers and expertise, if you are able to employ, it will be easier to navigate the complex web of regulations. Brokers navigate the region with regional nuances. DHL customs term team cleared 98% of the shipment on time in 23 by leveraging local agents. Broker fees of $100 per shipment is the additional cost that you will have to incur if you have a local agent. Capacity building. You will have to train the staff on the regulations, including customs relationships. Partnerships are required to collaborate with trade associations. Using data analytics for compliance is a go-to solution because AI can flag high risk in any document or a trade. Singapore Customs is using TradeNet to predict non-compliant declarations. Now, we will have to look at what are the various risk mitigation strategies. For example, the piracy and theft risk is there, port congestion risk is there, accidents or damage is there. MSC is having or has reported 270 containers in North Sea storms. That's a loss of goods by no fault of humans. Now, in the Long Beach backlog, the ships were anchored for 3+ weeks, a port congestion due to strike. Piracy and theft is that around $4 billion worth of cargo is lost due to theft. These are the various risks that happens in the transit. Now, piracy hotspot where it is Gulf of Guinea, Strait of Malacca are the piracy hotspots. Around 100 plus attacks were reported. Now, the losses were about $5 billion annually. The pirates took off $10 million worth of copper from a ship in Nigeria. Port congestion is another cause. For example, the delays cost over $1,000 per ship delay in fuel and crew expenses. And in Los Angeles, when the strike was there, 100 plus ships were waiting for over 2 to 3 weeks, and the value of the goods were around 25 billion. Accidents and damage also happen, as we have seen. Collisions, groundings, these cost around 1,000 to 3,000 container losses. Look at the Evermore case in Red Sea, which is a grounding. The damage could be multiple types. For the goods or container, it could be water exposure or a crushing or a temperature fluctuation, etc. If it is vaccine and if it is delayed and temperature cannot be maintained, look at what would be the loss. Environment regulation compliance is also an issue because if you look at the new International Maritime Organization rules, the fuel cost will go up by 15%, forcing carriers to slow steam, adding 2 to 5 days of voyage. What is the possible solutions for this? The possible solution for overcoming these risk is that marine and cargo insurance. This will protect against piracy, accident, general average shared loss, etc. 95% of the incidents are covered by Munich Re. After 2021 ever given issue in Red Sea, insurers paid 1 billion in claims, cushioning the shippers' losses. Evermore, ever given. The premium cost will go up by around half to 1% or has gone up by half to 1% because of this potential higher chances of risk or claim. Real-time tracking, GPS or radio frequency ID or Internet of Things or can be used. Sensors can be there in every container to locate the goods or to report the temperature or the integrity of the product. Maersk is using this as a remote container management system. Most half its reefer fleet is having the remote container management capability. This will reduce the theft and the spoilage. It will manage the perishables at a good level, but it will add the cost of shipment. Almost a 5% is going up in the tariff. Alternative routes or modes are also used by people. For example, some are shifting to rail, while some are going in alternative routes, or some are going by air, and this will have an additional cost of freight. Some business to business shipments have been agreed on a multimodal, so that some portion is covered by road and air and some portion by sea to manage the overall cost. Walmart to US Mexico logistics is happening on a hybrid model. Then some entities are joining the shipping pools. 2M or Ocean Alliance are there. What happens is that reliable carriers with strong safety records, like MSC, for example, who are 99% on time, they will be able to outperform. And when you have a tie-up with such a reliable entity, a shipping pool, your freight forwarder will be able to carry your goods on time, real time. What is the key takeaway? We will have to analyze what are our vulnerabilities on our supply chain, with whom we are selling, which country, which forwarder, what insurance company, which shipping company, etc. We will have to implement proactive measures, like we will have to secure method in which at either the customs or at the loading unloading point our goods do not suffer any issues, and then we will be or should be able to track it using the latest technology as to where it is and how it is. We should always have a contingency plans also, so that if the goods have to be rerouted or returned, how we will handle that. We will have to continuously monitor the global conditions. Operational risks are inherent in any cross-border trade, but it has to be managed with strategic foresight and technology. The disruptions demands diversified sourcing, digital tools, robust inventory planning, and ability to withstand the shocks. Delays could be at the customs or the loading and unloading level, and for this, maybe we can look at automation, we can look at trusted trader programs, we can look at local expertise to navigate the complex maze of regulations. Piracy to port congestion can be covered mostly by insurance and real-time tracking. Thanks for watching this video. We will catch up again in the next episode.